All right, TSL, let's get it. Welcome to another edition of The Sales Life. I'm your host, Marsh Bice, and today, man, we're going to talk about the difference between instinct and intuition. And the thought came to me because I was on the phone with a buddy of mine, and just randomly, I just asked him, I said, dude, what's the difference between instinct and intuition? And we were both silent. Neither one of us really knew what to say. And so, as always, because I'm naturally curious, I got to thinking about this. And instincts and intuition, they're survival mechanisms, but they don't always serve you well. But if you can couple and leverage the power of your instincts and intuition together in the right way, then in sticky situations, you're not just going to survive, you're actually going to thrive. And it's going to take you to a whole new level of success. This is The Sales Life. I'm your host, Marsh Bice, and The Sales Life is taking the skills that I've learned in over 24 years of the sales profession, and I'll show you how you can apply those to every area of your life. Because, see, sales is a profession, selling is a life skill, and all of us need to learn the number one skill, and that's your ability to sell. And the product that you're selling, that's recession-proof, that's bulletproof, that is the best thing on the market, is you. You're the product. Everything that you've achieved in life is because you sold your way there, and everything that you haven't achieved in life is because you settled and you stopped selling. So if you want to have more, do more, be more, then say no more. Today, man, we're gonna jump on this instinct and intuition. So what is the difference between the two, instinct and intuition? Easiest way to think about this. Instinct is what to do. Intuition is where to go. Now think about this. Instinct, what to do. These are your triggers. So it's what to do. And your intuition is going to steer you in where to go. The thing that you have to realize about instincts, what to do, these are patterns. And so you develop these patterns. And you got to think of it like an old record, like an old record. And so initially the vinyl is smooth, but once that thing is cut, then the vinyl starts getting grooves in it. So every time you put the needle of circumstances down on that record, it's not going to go all over the record. It's going to follow the grooves. And that's how you have to think of instincts in your life. Instincts, many times, you have a natural default. You have a natural pattern, which is an F3, fight, flight, or freeze. But many times, too, you have trained yourself in certain situations that when you're triggered, because you've developed these grooves in life, in your personal and professional life, what happens is the needle hits the needle of circumstance, and it follows that groove. So I want you to take stock in what are some of the situations that you have in your life that trigger this instinct. And if you want to change these things, then what you have to do is you have to push past your initial default. Like I said from the beginning, your default setting is one of the F3 responses: fight, flight, or freeze. You're going to do one. So when you're triggered, you're either going to fight, you're going to be aggressive about it, you're going to take off, you're going to flight, or you're going to nut up, you're going to freeze. So based on that, that's what your instinct does this in the situation, and then your intuition takes it to wherever it needs to go. So if your intuition is to, for me, for years, my intuition, I didn't want to deal with difficult conversations. I didn't want to deal with the fact that I had credit card debt that was piling up. I didn't want to deal with those things. So when I was triggered with those situations, my natural instinct was to take off running. was to just get away from it. And when I say take off running, it was to go hide at work. It was just to get away from that. And so if you don't address these instincts in the right way, like for me, if my natural instinct was to take off running, then what happens is those unresolved differences piled up, relationships tore apart, and I ended up bankrupting as well because I had $100,000 of credit card debt. See, that was my instinct. I didn't want to deal with it. And so, see, you can change these instincts. Like in sales, my instinct was to take off running the minute I got rejected. And I had to learn that I'm going to talk about this in a minute. I had to learn how to force and forge new instincts. I realized, albeit the hard way, and I don't want it to be the hard way for you, that if I wanted to change the results in my life, then what I was going to have to do is I was going to have to change and push past my instincts, my natural instincts. So when certain situations came about, I had to do something different. I had to change those things. So I want you to identify what is an instinct for you that is not serving you well. You get in these certain situations and they never end up well. And I want you to identify that because, see, you can actually change your instinct. You can actually change or push past your initial instinct. Just because you have a fight, flight, or freeze, one or the other. Like I said, you may nut up. You may, which is a freeze. You may get aggressive. You may take off running. Just because you have those certain situations, it's not a bad thing. That's what's just naturally wired within you. But you have the ability within those situations to actually push past those initial instincts to bring about new results. You have to think about it like this. It's like a young quarterback coming into the league, and his natural instinct is to rely on his speed. So the minute he felt the pressure, he took off running. He relied on his natural instinct, and his intuition said, go this direction, right? But as his season, maybe as injuries mounted up, maybe as his career lengthened, he had to learn how to push past that initial instinct of, oh shit, and then sit in there a little bit longer and then start breaking down the play. See, he pushed past his initial instinct and then started breaking down the defense and became a better all-around quarterback. That's the same way, man, that you got to look at, your life as well. See, when I first got into sales, my initial instinct was to run from the rejection. The minute I got rejected, I turned away. In sales, it's impossible to be in sales, isn't it? And not be rejected. It's totally impossible. The only way is to push past those initial instincts. Now, for you, if your natural instinct is the fight and you're in sales, it may serve you well in the initial stage, but if it's too aggressive, it's actually going to cause your customer to push and go the other direction. See, that's what you got to actually look at. So it's a threading of the needle. It's almost a balance itself on that you have to learn these things. But just because it's, you cannot use the excuse, well, this is just the way I am. No, that's just the way that you've always done things. You can actually tweak that instinct, couple that thing, and tell the intuition what to do. Now, here's the thing about the intuition itself. Intuition follows the instinct. The intuition is going to do whatever the instinct tells it to do. So if your instinct is to make a sudden move this way, or to do fight, flight, or freeze, then your intuition is going to do it's going to follow that. It's going to take that a different direction. So for me in sales, when my initial instinct was to run from the rejection itself, it wasn't until my sales manager made me sit in the tension. He made me sit there and choke and go under, and he would pass by, but he wouldn't come in there and help me. And I would get so frustrated. And then at the final minute, when I couldn't go any further, he would come in and save me. But what I did not realize is he was actually pushing out the boundaries, my level of tolerances. So I was able to tolerate more, a little bit more each time. And so he was kicking those things out. And so when I would be frustrated and I would tell him, I said, man, why you letting me drown in there? He said, if you don't know what it tastes like to drown, you'll never learn how to swim on your own. And you've got to learn how to swim on your own, Marsh. And the only way that you're going to do that is I've got to push you. I've got to push you past that natural instinct and not bail out and sit in there, sit in the tension, and then you'll get it from there. I had the same situation the other day. Just the other day. Dude, I've been doing this 24 years. And so I'm in the middle of a presentation and my whole system crashes. Everything crashes. My computer goes down, and not only does it go down, but I'm actually locked out. Well, because I'm in the middle of a presentation online, I didn't have the luxury to, if the customer was sitting in front of me, I could have said, hey, give me a few minutes. Let me get everything rebooted and we'll go from there. No, they were online. So I didn't have that luxury. So what I had to do is my initial instinct was to, oh shit, blow out. Just take the deal as it is. Explain to everybody what happened. Everybody understands. No big deal. That was my initial intuition, my initial instinct. But what I did is I pushed past my initial instinct of bail out, and I sat in the tension. And my intuition kicked in without thinking, okay, this is what I need to do. I had to make something happen. And so what I ended up doing is I had to freestyle. I didn't know where I was in the deal. I was locked out. I couldn't make any adjustments. And so I had to freestyle it. And it came out okay. And it came out better than if I would have just blown out. This is why instinct alone is not enough. And intuition alone is not enough. Now, your intuition, the way to forge your intuition is experience. That's the only way that you're going to actually develop and hone that intuition. See, if I was only in sales for 2 months and my instinct, okay, I could push past my initial instinct of, okay, don't bail out. But if I don't have enough experience underneath me, I don't know where to take it. This is independently, the intuition and the instincts have to be tweaked independently. But then in situations, you put those things together and they collectively bring about huge results. One thing I don't want you to do is just shrug your shoulders and just say, that's the way I am. It doesn't have to be the way that you are in your personal and your professional life. But what are the things that you can do to push past that initial instinct? And tonight, fight, flight, or freeze. You got to sit in the tension. And I want you to have a one more mentality. And what a one more mentality is, when that initial instinct kicks in to fight, flight, or freeze, thinking one more. Sit there, cool your jets. Maybe it means that you got to shut your mouth and don't be so combative. Maybe it means that when you want to run to the other room, that you sit in there for a little bit longer. Maybe it means that you have to make 3 more phone calls. And as you do that, your instinct and your intuition are going to slowly come together for you. Now, initially, I'm not going to lie. Initially, you're going to have rookie intuition because I think it's called cognitive bias. And so what that is you're going to have conflicting situations. So in other words, your instinct, you're triggered in a situation, your instinct is to do this, you push past that, and you're going to have what I call rookie intuition, meaning that because this is uncharted water for you, because this is something new, your intuition, where to take it, it may not serve you well. Don't bail out. Don't say, see, I told you this wouldn't work. Don't do that. It's just rookie intuition. You keep coming back to those things. You keep forcing, this is the result that I want to see. So if I want to see that result, that means I have to push past my natural default. If you'll do that, then your intuition will become more experienced, more relatable, and you won't have the internal conflict of, this is new. Okay, I'm going to sit in here a little bit longer. What's going to happen is your intuition is going to say, oh, every time you're triggered now, you used to run, but now what you do is you stay in there. Okay, what do you need me to do? And see, when that intuition kicks in, it's a magical thing because you do things without even thinking. You think about athletes. You think about Kobe Bryant. His instinct and his intuition, he was the Mamba. He was legendary. So, see, when the game was on the line, his instincts were to attack. And coupled with his intuition, he knew where to take the game. And he knew what players were going to be in the fold and which ones weren't going to get the ball at all. And that's why he's a Hall of Famer. Lean into the discomfort. This is something new for you, man. And it doesn't come from one and done. This is something, if you want to see different results, then what you've got to do is you got to train yourself to push past those natural instincts and forge new intuitions to do things without even thinking. So if you lean into the discomfort, you do what you don't want to do, then you're going to see the results that you desperately want to see. Thanks so much for tuning in. Let me come back around real quick just to say hello. Patrick Tenney, thank you, man, for all the way from Canada. Brother, appreciate you you hanging in there. Hanging in the pocket is the hardest thing to do. It really is, Patrick. It really is. 90% of what we do in sales is based on patterns, and that's what we're comfortable with. And sometimes it's the patterns. I still don't like the rejection. I don't like the conflict at times, but it's necessary. It's things that you have to sometimes sit in there. And even though you're uncomfortable, what about success is all the way comfortable? Not everything at all. Getting comfortable, being uncomfortable. Yes, exactly what I was just saying. Tom, thanks so much, man, for jumping on. I'm glad that you found the message that resonated. All right, let's get out of here. We all got to go to work. Another job. Forge your instincts into intuition. I just want you to have top of mind today. And so that way, when you're thinking about it, when you feel this trigger kick in, don't be quite so trigger happy. Kind of analyze it a little bit. If it's not serving you well, if it's not serving you productively, then that's something that you need to not just shrug off, really just sit in there. If you just sit in there just for another couple of beats, I'm telling you, you're going to start training your intuition. Instinct is what to do. Intuition is where to take it. You need both of those to be a superpower. All right. With that, remember, the greatest sale that you will ever make is to sell you on you, because you're more than enough. Never settle. Keep selling. Stay in the sales life. Peace.